We're recording. All right, guys, thank you all for being here. We appreciate it. I'm Kayla Painesse. I am the current Ifma president. What a year. Hopefully, we get to be outside together soon. I want to thank our sponsors, as usual. We have our platinum sponsors. We have TNN, Hook, Bala, URI, Nelson. Our gold sponsors are Franklin Flooring, Interface, Tremco, Millicare, shout out to Keith, and Catapult. Our silver sponsor is Spectrum. And our bronze sponsor is Shaw. A couple of things I just wanted to let you guys know upcoming. March 11th, we have How Skilled Trades Impact the Facilities Management Industry, and that's from a representative from Williamson Trade School. April 1st, we have behind the scenes tour of Philadelphia's National Historical Park. So that sounds like it's going to be an event that we could possibly get together outside for, which is exciting. And then May 19th, which I'm really excited about, is our trade show at the Elmwood Park Zoo. Any information that you guys need additionally, you can find on ifmaphilly.org under the events tab. And yeah, I'm going to hand it over to Heather Shoemaker. She's going to talk a little bit about our newsletter Insite, and then Lisa and Robin will take it from there. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Kayla.
Hi, everybody. I'm Heather Shoemaker. I am the editor for our quarterly publication Insite. And just a quick buzz to try to stir some interest and excitement about Insite came to fruition from Lisa offering to submit an education piece regarding ergonomics to Insite. And then Robin had previously done a presentation about Sunline furniture. And I was putting together the Insite and highlighting a previous event, highlighting Lisa's educational piece, putting it together, and we kind of got talking. And this is what came out of it, was having a great presentation. Upcoming for the next issue of Insite will be Catapult FM, highlighting a project that they've been working with at Radian related to COVID about space use and who has been where in the building, kind of a tracking system. So if you have a really neat project or an educational article or something you'd like to share, please get in touch with me or get in touch with Kayla. We welcome all ideas, and I'd be happy to work with you to develop the article. So go Insite, and I'll pass it over to Robin. Thank you.
I'm going to go ahead and share my screen so Robin has some content to use here. Hold on one sec. All right, there you go.
There we go. Well, thank you for including me in this. We appreciate it. We love Ifma and Ifma Philly. So I just want to tell you a little bit about who we are, because we're different. Arnold's Office Furniture, which is the exclusive dealer of Sunline furniture nationally, we are the manufacturer rep and the dealer rep. And that doesn't exist in the industry elsewhere. The advantage to that is that when you work with us, we work directly with the manufacturer, directly with the factory. So anything special or unusual, and it cuts out many, many, many layers of expense, because you're paying for all those people that are the manufacturer's reps, which is fabulous for them. But for our purposes, we get to value engineer projects from the beginning, all the time, every single one. And I was with a Steelcase dealership and left to go here because I thought, wow, this could solve so many problems. There's so many financial issues when you're doing a big project, but also drilling down and getting what you need without time delays, without expenses. And I have to say that during COVID, we are as much of a logistical company as we are a furniture company, because we have to get the product here overseas and everything. So the breadth of product is enormous. The quality is great. But the thing I love most about it is working with my teams, my design team, my project management team, solving the problems, working directly with clients, creating the iterations that finally land the plane. And I've been there for 2 years, and it's been fun and successful and interesting. And I feel like the thing that people don't get about us in the world, in all the groups that I belong to, is that we're just another furniture company, and we're not as well known as Technion and Herman Miller and Hayworth and Steelcase. So I wonder who they are. And what we've been is a category creator that serves people both during the process, which is arduous, doing a project, and then at the end with the bottom line. So I am available to anyone in the organization, or if you're networking and you know people, even to drill down and help people do budgetary exercises to see, is this for real? And with that, I will return at the very end, I guess, and just talk about our prize. But now we get to hear from Lisa, the exciting part of the program.
Thanks, Robin. I appreciate that. And again, just so for those that are on the call, just hang in with us. Hopefully you're going to learn something new and interesting, but we have, of course, some prizes we're giving away at the end. So hang on. So who am I? My name is Lisa Barday. I am the owner of an ergonomic consulting company called Be Well Ergo. I am certified in a variety of different ergonomic professions. I'm a lead AP and a well AP also, and I offer full service consulting, so workstation evaluations, training, content development, and so forth. I'm a former facilities manager, spent a number of years as an FM with Prudential Insurance Company and GlaxoSmithKline, so I have a real sensitive understanding of some of the challenges that you face. Expert in office furniture. I was in sales a number of years with Technion and with Herman Miller, as well as Kofco here in the Philly area. And I create and write content and so forth, which is how I got connected here with Heather. I write some content for Insite. So that's my background. So what are we going to talk about today? We're going to kind of dive a little bit into what is ergonomics. So I'll give you a little bit of an overview on that, how it impacts our body, what an MSD is. I'll explain that for you. Why there's value to paying attention to ergonomics, getting it right. I want to go over some hacks and things you can do. Most of you are probably working from home, so there might be some resources I can give you a hand with that so you can get your spaces set up. And then, of course, we've got our prize. So what is it? Well, definition in the dictionary or per the International Ergonomics Association, a scientific discipline concerned with the understanding of interactions among humans and other elements of a system. That's, to me, a little bit vague. Really, to sum that up, it's how our bodies interact with the world around us. And we think of a system, it could be, we think workstations, right? We think chairs, but it's so many other things. It's how you interact with when you're sitting in your car and how everything is set up in there. There's a lot of ergonomics involved there. Consumer goods, I mean, the list is endless. And a lot of design expertise goes into that to make sure that the world fits us appropriately. But how does it impact our bodies? This is really the significant part of this conversation. So if you took one piece of information away from what I share with you today, of course, I hope you take more, but if you just take one, remember that our eyes control our posture. If we don't have our technology right, if we don't have our furniture right, our eyes will cause us to move into awkward postures, which can cause us to have pain and discomfort and all kinds of different issues. This is a subconscious activity. Your eyes don't consciously say, okay, I'm going to bend my shoulders forward because my monitor is too low. They do it automatically. And that's why you might find yourself kind of sitting awkwardly. You don't really think about how you got there. You didn't do it intentionally, but your eyes actually brought you into that posture because they sort of rule how we look at the world. Proper lighting, furniture placement, the better we do this, the less chances we're going to have that we're going to get into awkward postures. And it's all about making the right choices for products, and we'll talk about that in a little bit, as well as lighting and other types of resources. And then ergonomics is fitting the world to you. I kind of alluded to that in the description of it, because it's about making sure things fit us correctly. And, imagine if you have a pair of shoes that are 2 sizes too small, 3 sizes too small. Yes, you could probably jam your feet into them and walk around, but they're not going to fit you very well, and they're going to be incredibly uncomfortable. And there are a lot of things that we interact with in our world that kind of create this scenario for us, and office furniture can be one of those examples where it doesn't fit you right. It can be quite uncomfortable. And then I always want to focus on eliminating discomfort. And, you know, some people say to me, well, wait, I want to feel more comfortable. I want to make this person feel more comfortable. That's very subjective. If I take your pain away, you're going to automatically feel better. So if any of you have ever had any back pain, and even if you have a headache and you're not feeling great, not focused on work, the minute that headache goes away, you're just automatically going to feel better. So the goal is to get rid of the discomfort versus trying to make you more comfortable. We want to plan for the range, not the average. There's really no such thing as an average size person. I mean, we can do the math, and there's data for that. There's a lot of data for that. But you have a hard time finding someone that actually matches that exact average. We are all different shapes and sizes. We work differently. We have different habits. You know, just think about the people you work with and the range of body sizes. So it can be quite a large range. Promoting movement is always going to support wellness. You know, you are all hearing about this all the time. We've got to get up and move. You know, sitting is the new smoking. However you want to dissect that. The more we move and stand up and walk around and get out of our workspaces, just simply the better off we're going to be. So movement is very important. And then good ergonomics is good economics. So if I take the time to plan for something up front and make the right choices and good choices up front and start talking about this at the beginning of a project instead of waiting until the end, and then we realize, whoops, you know, we didn't really address something properly, it's a lot more expensive to deal with it after an installation is complete, or when you have to create Band-Aid solutions. So yes, you know, a task light might be an item that costs a little bit for a workstation, and it might get cut from a budget, but when you're all done at the end of the day, you probably needed it in the first place. So things like that should really be included and talked about early on in the process. So I started out by talking about our eyes. Our eyes bring in more information to us than any of our other senses. We can make immediate decisions about things versus our eyes. Our eyes tell us things that we see that might be very subtle, so we need to take good care of them. And we're sitting in front of our computers all day long, most of us. So there's a lot of different things you can do to protect your eyes. We want to try to look away periodically. So look off into the distance, you know, look out a window, change your focus. That'll give your eyes a bit of a break. You're using different muscles, and that'll help relieve any strain. Also, blink frequently. Our eyes can get very dry. We stare at our screen and we don't blink as much as we should. So try to blink frequently, be conscious about that. And then make sure the things that you're viewing, documents, other types of items, are at the right spot for you. So your eyes aren't wandering away and looking at things or straining. And then of course, make sure your monitor is in the right spot so you can read what's on it and you're not leaning forward or leaning backwards, but definitely protect your eyes. And when we look at ergonomics, you know, we think mostly about the upper portion of our body when it comes to our office workspace. We generally don't have a tremendous amount of risk for our lower extremities. So our legs, our feet, our knees. It's mostly about our head, our eyes, of course, as I just mentioned, our shoulders, our full spine, so the neck, the upper back, and the lower back, our hips and pelvis, and of course, our hands and our wrists. And these are the most vulnerable parts of our body regarding ergonomics in your workspace. So if any of you have ever experienced back pain, and you probably have, or if you haven't, unfortunately, you probably will, there's a 50 to 80% chance in our lifetime that you will experience some kind of back pain. When we look at our spine, so the image on the left where the person is standing, we have a natural S curve to our spine. Standing is a neutral posture for us. So as a human, it's when we're putting the least amount of stress and strain on our body. The minute we go to sit down, so if you look on the far right, you can see when that person is sitting, that S curve actually flattens out. And that's why having good lumbar support in your chair is very important, because that helps push your lumbar and that S curve a little bit back into place. Now the image in the center, you might have heard of someone that has a bulging disc or some other type of disc injury. What's happening there is the top two images, and what they are, just for reference, it's two pieces of bread and a balloon. but they work great as a reference. So when you don't have any pressure, so when I'm standing or I'm sitting properly with good lumbar support, I'm going to have relatively even pressure on my spine, either no pressure or even pressure. So the discs are compressed evenly. When you don't have that, and when you are at an awkward posture, or you're leaning forward too much, or perhaps you've had some kind of an injury, the spine has an uneven pressure to it, and then the disc can actually bulge on one side, and that's where that term bulging disc can come from. So what happens there is over time, what's shown there as a little balloon or the disc begins to become misshapen, and that's what can cause a lot of pain and discomfort. So we always want to try to keep that even pressure or no pressure as best as we can. And then our necks and our shoulders, along with our upper back, we are extremely vulnerable to injury, especially if you're using a laptop. And I'm guessing that most of you probably have a laptop at home. I'm hoping that you have a separate monitor. If you don't, that's definitely something I suggest that you have. But with a laptop, it's completely impossible to get the typewriter or the typing height correct, as well as the monitor height, just because the two pieces are connected. I can't adjust them at all. And you're going to end up curling your back forward. And that's where you really get into trouble. If any of you have kids at home and you're seeing them with their technology, now is the right time to try to address that for them, because children today now, unfortunately, with all the technology they use, are developing some very poor posture habits, which will probably cause them some trouble as they get older. So pay attention to your kids and how they're using technology. But if our back is not, our posture is not correct, that's not only impacting our neck and our shoulders, it impacts our head, it can impact our eyes, lots of different issues there. So what's an MSD? So technically, it's a musculoskeletal or musculoskeletal disorder. So this is a condition where our musculoskeletal system is injured over time. So it's a gradual injury versus what might be an acute injury. So if I was walking down the sidewalk and I twisted my ankle and I hurt myself, that's an acute injury. I know what I did. I can go to the doctor, explain what happened, and then the doctor can treat that and I'll get on with it and it will heal. A MSD is something that occurs fairly slowly. It can creep up on you if you're not paying attention to it, and it can manifest itself in a variety of different ways. So some other names you might have heard: accumulative trauma disorder, or CTD, overuse syndrome, repetitive stress injury. There's tennis elbow. The list is really long. There's quite a few of them. The most common, something that some of you might be experiencing, is carpal tunnel syndrome. We've all pretty much heard of that. So what happens with carpal tunnel, if you're not familiar with it, this is when the median nerve in your wrist becomes damaged. And that can happen again, generally over time. It might be because in the image on the left, that person's wrist is twisted. So that can cause pressure on that nerve. Or if you're resting it on the edge of your desk, so if you've got a sharp or firm edge to your desk and you're resting your wrist against it, you're putting some pressure against that nerve. That can then over time become inflamed and you can experience some discomfort. That is a very unpleasant injury if anybody has ever dealt with it. It often can require surgery and you can be out of work for quite a bit of time. So it's important to pay attention to it. And then the importance of preventing MSDs. They develop in levels or degrees. So we're going to start out with that sort of low level, annoying twinge or a little soreness or a pain. If you disregard that and don't really identify what's causing it, that will begin to escalate and it'll move into the second degree, which is where that pain is going to be uncomfortable through most of your workday. It might be into the evening. And then when you get to that third degree, that's when you're likely going to have to get medical attention because now it's beginning to impact your health and well-being. So these pains can, transfer into your night. You're not sleeping well. It's happening on the weekends and so forth. So by addressing them early and stopping them and trying to figure out what's causing them, and it can be simply a change to your posture, a change to how you have your furniture set up if it's coming from your workspace, we can mitigate that and get rid of it and reduce the chance that it's going to cause a problem for you. Because I think an important statement, I have this here at the top: an uncomfortable worker is distracted and less productive. A worker in pain is absent. So if you're not feeling great, you're not working your best, you're not getting your best productivity, your employees are not having their best productivity, and if you've got pain, you're likely out sick, you're seeking medical care, you might be out on disability, and that's when it starts to get very, very expensive. So the value, the benefit of addressing ergonomics. It is not complicated. It's pretty easy to take steps to make good choices. You're going to save money in the long run if you plan ahead and choose good products. If we're reducing discomfort and fatigue and injury, we're going to be reducing cost because people are going to be working at their optimum performance, they're going to feel better, and they're going to bring a lot of value to their company. If you have someone who's ill, as I mentioned, if they're in pain, this can impact morale. It can impact morale of others around them that have to cover for them while they're out attending to this injury. If you have plans put into place for good furniture choices, ergonomic programs, and so forth, that's an excellent value for employee attraction and retention. And it just overall creates better working conditions for everybody involved. So there is a lot of value in paying attention to it. We can put a number to that. So a couple points of data here that might be of interest to you. There are 70 million office visits a year for some type of musculoskeletal disorder or in health encounter. It is 40% of the injuries that occur in a workplace. There's a misconception that these types of injuries occur in more industrial or manufacturing environments. It's actually not really true. You're equally as vulnerable in an office environment as you are in a factory. The average time missed from work is 8 days per incident. That's quite a bit. But if you look at the lower number there, all the way on the bottom on the right, just to give you some data, this information comes from OSHA. They have a calculator on their website that can help a business owner understand what the potential cost is for a MSD or a workplace injury. So for instance, I've got carpal tunnel listed here. The average cost, hard cost to an employer is about almost $65,000. And that can be for time lost. It could be obviously for the pay for the person that's out. And it's also for paying other people to cover for them or whatever lost productivity you have. But the big number that I think is really even more valuable, if we looked at a company, let's say we have a company that makes widgets, and this widget manufacturer has a 5% profit margin. They would have to sell almost $1.3 million worth of widgets to cover the cost of that one carpal tunnel injury. That's the big number that gets people's attention because that's the reality of it. And I don't think anyone wants to hear that they need to sell more of something. So when we put it in those kinds of terms, it does make sense, and it does put a dollar, a cost or a dollar value on addressing ergonomics. So it's easy to get it right. It's really about paying attention to how you sit, how you work, and your posture. We want to always start by adjusting our chair. So I want to have my feet flat on the floor. I want to have my thighs parallel to the floor. And I want to make sure my seat is not hitting me in the back of my leg. So I want to adjust your seat pan. And then have your arms so that they are loose at your sides at a 90-degree angle at your elbows, and your wrists and your arms straight. And then we want to set up our technology, so our monitor, so that the top line of text, so maybe that Google toolbar at the top, is level with your eyes. I tend to find most people actually have their monitors set too high. So I would definitely take a look at that if you're using a separate monitor to double check and make sure that it is set up correctly. If you don't have a monitor and you're using a laptop, it is a worthy investment to go ahead and get a monitor and use that instead. But same rules apply for standing. If anyone is interested in this infographic, just shoot me an email. I have an electronic copy of this. I'm happy to give it to you. It's nice to pass out and to keep it handy so you understand appropriate posture. But once you get in the habit of sitting like this, it's really pretty easy to continue to maintain it. It's really very straightforward. So if you're looking at furniture, we want to always be starting with a good chair. Your chair is your first line of defense to make sure that you're sitting correctly. Choose one that's easy to use. I've seen plenty of chairs out there that have, 25 paddles underneath the seat and all the handles and levers. Nobody knows how to use them. So stick with something that is simple. A chair that is a weight balancing or self-adjusting is really handy because you don't have to engage too much with the adjustments on it. Please make sure that you can flex and lean back in the chair so it has a tilt. Always make sure it has a seat height adjustable and a seat depth. Seat depth tends to be a feature that is not available on some chairs. It is worth paying a few extra dollars to get it. And then always make sure you've got the instructions on how to use it. Ask your dealer, ask a manufacturer for that, and make sure that you and your employees understand how to use it. If you want to add height adjustability, there's a couple ways you can go about this. So obviously height adjustable tables are very, very popular. There's a broad range of different styles and shapes. I know Robin sells these as well. There's a lot of places you can get them. We want to look for tables that have the broadest height range possible. That's going to likely hit more of your petite to your very tall. So we want to try to stick with the BIFMA guidelines. So BIFMA basically addresses the office furniture industry, makes sure that all of the products are built to certain qualifications and dimensions. So the current range for BIFMA, if you're curious, is a table that goes from 22.6 inches, which is quite low, all the way up to 48.7. So that's going to handle the seated requirements for a very petite person, and then the standing requirements for a tall person. So look for that BIFMA range. Make sure you understand how to use the table. I've seen so many instances where folks have one and they've never played with it. They don't understand how to program in it. They don't understand how to move it. That's a waste of money and resources. So make sure that that happens. If you don't want a table or don't have a space for it or don't have a budget, you can consider alternatives to this, which would be some of the tabletop units. I know you've seen them out there. They're available in a lot of different places. They can cost several $100s. They're terrific for standing. However, they're not really addressing proper seated typing height, but they will get you standing, which is terrific. Or you can simply add a keyboard tray to the underside of a table. So that's going to help get you to proper seated typing heights. You do have options that can meet almost any budget. Always try to add monitor arms if you can. A monitor arm is going to allow you to be able to get a monitor at the right height. It's going to allow you to be able to push it back and get it configured properly. It also frees up a lot of space on your work surface. So it gets rid of the stands and the risers and the things that you might have it up on. So if you're going to look for a monitor arm, make sure it has wire management on it so your cords are contained. But also, most importantly, double check to make sure that the monitor that you have can fit on a monitor arm. I've had so many instances where I've worked with clients and they didn't realize that the stands did not come off of the back of their monitors, and they bought arms and then they couldn't use them. So just double check and make sure that your monitor is compatible. And a fun little fact that you might not know, if we go from sitting to standing throughout the course of our workday, we have different requirements for the height of our monitor in each of those two positions. And it's based on the anthropometrics, or the dimensions of our body. So if our torso is very long, we're going to have a different height when we're standing versus sitting, and so forth. So I actually have about a 3-inch differential. So when I'm standing, I should technically be raising my monitor about 3 inches up. I generally don't do that, but I know at least that I should be doing that. Lighting is so important. The older we get, the more light we need. When documents on your desk are too dark, you are straining your eyes. You want to look for lamps that are adjustable. So whether they're adjustable to move them or dimmable, those are ideal. If you can find one that has an occupancy sensor on it, that's even better. So it turns off when you leave your workspace. And then just watch out for glare. So glare is something that's this sort of subtle, annoying thing that if you're not paying attention to it, it can really irritate you. And glare can come from lighting. So it can come from task lights. It can come from your overhead lights. Also, obviously from windows. So double check to make sure that you don't have any suspicious glare on your screen. And then if you are interested in keyboard trays, these are not the most popular thing. I prefer to really address the entire table if you can versus just a keyboard, but there are tons of options out there for them. Make sure that you can fit your keyboard as well as a mouse on it, so it's wide enough. Make sure that it doesn't shake when you're typing on it, and that you can stow it out of the way. So we've got, again, lots of choices for keyboards. So I mentioned earlier about the benefits of sitting and standing with movement. I can't emphasize this enough. When you have an opportunity to change your posture throughout your work day, you're going to simply feel better. When you get up out of your chair, get up and move around. If we're back at the office, having a standing meeting or a standing conversation is actually the best way to meet with someone. Your meetings will be shorter and you're burning some additional calories. And as I mentioned earlier, this is a neutral posture for us. So standing is going to put the least amount of stress and strain on our bodies. And another topic that a lot of folks don't think much about is about your work zones. So we tend to have on our desk our typical way that we set up our workspace. And that can change over time. Some people keep their desks super clean with virtually nothing on it. Others have piles of papers and folders. But always take a look at the tools that you use the most. So your keyboard, your mouse, a small notepad, a pen, paper, whatever it is that you have to have close at hand. We want to keep that in our primary work zone. The secondary work zone is great for things that we might access just a couple times during the day. So calculator, telephone, stapler, so forth. And then the non-working zone, that farthest zone, are great for things that we're not generally using too much throughout the day. So some other types of office supplies, if you have any plants or photographs or any small tools that you're not using. Reason being for this, I don't want to reach really far every time I want to grab my notebook or every time I want to answer my phone. That stretching and straining can cause some discomfort for us over time. And then think about your left hand versus right hand, so handedness. Make sure the things that you use most often are on your dominant hand side, so you're not reaching across your body to work. So some things to think about for your home office. And just in looking at some of your video, thank you for those that have video on, I can certainly see that a lot of you are working from home, as am I. So there are some things you can do to try to make that environment a little bit better if you haven't done so already. So try to choose a designated workspace if you can that has a door, or have access to that if you need to have some privacy. Try to get as close as you can to your Wi-Fi in your house. I actually had to make some changes to my Wi-Fi location because it was a little too far away. It made a world of difference for me. Set boundaries with family and housemates. That's a hard thing, especially if you're in a shared space. I have the good fortune of having a private office, but usually there's a dog busting in my door every day. And consider alternate places to work. So you might have an opportunity perhaps to take a call in the kitchen or dining room, take your laptop elsewhere, go outside, not today, but any other day where it's not snowing. Watch your lighting and glare that I talked about, and then watch out for hazards that you wouldn't necessarily consider. When you're at the office, generally as FMs, I know you're always very conscious about safety in your workplace. We sort of miss that a little bit when we're in our home office. So watch out for cords and cables and things you might be tripping over. Because in case you weren't aware, your company is responsible for you from a workers' compensation standpoint. If you're injured at home during your workday because of your work, your company is actually responsible to take care of you. So just keep that in mind, but it's your duty to make sure that your workspace is safe. Some things to consider for, in general, for your home office is know how to adjust the furniture that you have. If you've got adjustable furniture, please try to figure out how to adjust it and get it right. Think about your work habits. We're spending a lot more time in front of our computers. We don't have those great opportunities that we used to have just to get up and meander around the office and talk to people and go to the break room and go outside for a walk. So you've got to look for those and create those. When you're typing, try to keep a light touch on your keyboard and your mouse. Don't grip your mouse like you're trying to crush it. Keep it light. Try to see if you can type like you're playing a piano. If anyone has ever played a piano, it's a light touch and you need to keep your hands hovering over your keys. Try to take breaks when you can. Find ways to set your schedule for breaks. I have kind of a cool little thing. I'm not sure if you guys can see this. It's a little cube that I got as a Christmas gift from a company called DateX. And I can set a timer on this. So I can set it for 60 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever I want, however I set it on my desk, it keeps that time for me. And it reminds me that I need to get up and move. That's been a really handy tool for me. Pay attention to how you feel. As I mentioned, those MSDs or musculoskeletal disorders can catch up with you if you're not paying attention. And then of course, as always, stay hydrated, keep your nutrition up. I mean, these are pretty basic points, but it's something that I found a lot of folks have sort of lost touch with because they don't have these resources available at home on a regular basis. If you don't have a a full office setup at home, which you may not, there are some things you can do to work with what you have around the house. I know, Kayla, you mentioned you're sitting at the kitchen table. So there might be a few things here that you could do that could make things a little bit better. So the image on the far left, we've got someone who's sitting at a kitchen or a dining room table. And we've got some hacks that you can do here that don't cost a penny or are very low cost. So what she's done, she's on a wooden chair. So she's sitting on a pillow. So I'd highly recommend that, or put a towel, a folded towel on the seat. If the chair doesn't have a lumbar, put a pillow there again, or a folded towel for a lumbar. Roll up a towel and use that as a lumbar cushion. She put her laptop up on a box. So what's that's doing is it's putting that height, getting that height correct. And then she's got a separate keyboard and mouse. Those would be the only two items that you might likely have to purchase in this scenario, and they are quite inexpensive. You can order them from Amazon. And when we do that, now we have an opportunity to get everything set up. We've got proper posture, about as good as it's going to be in a scenario like that. And then if your feet are not properly touching the floor, put a small stool or a box or a footrest on the floor. And as I'm looking at the image there that's on the screen on the left, I can see that her knees, this woman's knees, are fairly significantly lower than her hips. So she doesn't appear to have a footrest there. That would be a real ideal addition. In the image in the center on the top, we've got a lot of different kinds of technology that's being used here. So what this young woman is doing, she's kind of doing the opposite of the other one. She's got her laptop that she's using as her keyboard, but she has a secondary monitor. That's another way you can do that. If you have access to a monitor, just set it up this way and use your laptop as a keyboard, and then keep the rest of your technology close. On the far right, very clever use of an ironing board. Certainly works great to elevate your laptop with a secondary keyboard and mouse. I actually had someone tell me they use an ironing board as a standing desk. So definitely checks a box that is height adjustable. It's something you probably have lying around the house that is available. Not the most stable of surfaces to type on, but hey, if it gives you a chance to work while standing, why not? The gentleman lower left is standing at a counter or kitchen counter. If you've got a laptop, get up and move it. Take it to the kitchen. If you want to stand and work, kitchen counters are actually fairly close to standing typing height for most of us. The image in the center on the bottom, a stack of books was used. So we're kind of getting that same solution as the little ironing board. And then on the lower right, it's totally fine to sit around the house in other locations periodically throughout the day. So sit on the floor, sit in a comfy chair, on the couch, wherever you want. The key here is getting up and moving as much as you possibly can. And if any of you have any other creative solutions to how you've set your workspaces up, I would love to learn about that. So I'll give you just a quick review of what we talked about. So ergonomics, again, it's about fitting everything to you. So thinking about what adjustments can you make so that your space fits you better. And then of course, choosing the right products to make that happen. So if you are a decision maker for your company and you're in the market to purchase new furniture when you get back, again, make sure you're choosing adjustability. Watch out for your injuries, so your MSDs, and make sure you're addressing them and not ignoring them. And then again, think about how you're setting up your workspace, getting up to move, and whatever creative hacks you can try to come up with. I don't think there's any wrong answer to any of this. It's about trying to make your space as comfortable as possible. So we're coming up on a year now, I think, that most of us have been at home, and I think a lot of people are going to stay there. I'm permanently at home. I've always worked at home. So I kind of have worked around and made some great solutions for myself, but that's not the case for everyone. I don't think too many of us thought we were going to be at home for as long as we have. So if you haven't done anything yet, now's the time. Don't wait. Even if you think you're going back to work soon, make these changes as quickly as you can. So before we run into our little giveaway, does anyone have any questions or any comments? I haven't noticed do we have a chat running it all? Kayla, has anybody put anything in the chat? I can't see it.
No, I mean, we have a chat, but we don't have anything in there.
Okay.
I want to say, while you were talking, I grabbed my pillow
That's awesome.
and I put it in there and it helped immediately. So thank you for that. I'm going to do some other hacks.
Try the
me
little
hang
like roll a hand towel up or a small, like a small bath towel and put that in your lumbar of your back. The only drawback to that is every time you get up, you've got to reposition it again.
Right.
But you can actually, you can hold it on if you've got some ribbon or just a belt or something just to kind of hold it onto the chair. A large rubber band works really well, and then it'll stay put. So when you get up and down, you don't have to constantly be repositioning it, but that can make a big difference on a solid back.
You don't
chair.
understand, or you don't realize how quickly the days or the time goes by, and then you've been sitting like this for an
Yep.
hour, and then when you go to get up, you're all stiff. So it was very informative. Thank you.
You're welcome. Any questions, comments? I hope there was something helpful for someone here. I see you nodding your head, Bob. Awesome. Okay.
Well, I can, if you want to unshare your screen, I can bring up
Yep.
the
I
so
will do that.
let's just tell everybody real quick what we're giving away.
Okay, and let me just go, I'm gonna go one screen just so you've got our contact information. So if anybody wanted to jot this down, to reach Robin, here's her contact information. And to reach me, if you'd like a copy of that infographic, I'd be thrilled to email it to you. So you have that for posture suggestion. You can feel free to share that with anybody that you want. Or if you need any assistance with Ergo Consulting, please contact me. And I'm very excited to say I was just certified as a women-owned business. So that was a big deal. Thank you. Okay, I'm going to unshare and back to you, Kayla.
I'm talking. So just real quick, we're going to give away, we have 3 prizes total. We have 2 chairs from Robin that was just featured on the slide. And then we have a assessment from Lisa, 30-minute assessment. Am I right? You want to add anything?
Yeah, so what that is, I'll do a one-on-one with whomever wins that, just to kind of review your workspace and see if I can find any other solutions for you to make you comfortable. And that can be either for your home office, if that's where you are now, or back at your, when you head back to the office, either you're there now or in the near future. I'll look at both or either environment, and we'll spend some time together on a Zoom call looking at some improvement suggestions for you.
And whoever wins the chairs, you'll have to pick up from Robin. And we can connect you guys afterwards and set that up. So who's feeling like a winner? Yeah, Kim? All right, hold on. Let's get it here. All right, so here we go. We have our little...
That's fun.
I just want to make sure everyone's on here. If I missed you, let me know. I think I got everyone.
After you do that, the 2 that win, I would love to tell you guys about the chair a little bit.
Of course. So I think I have everybody. All right.
Oh, that's cool.
I'm going to click.
It's gonna be
You gotta
ready.
give it a big spin.
I'm going to give it right now. Get ready, Scott.
I'm getting dizzy.
Oh, the anticipation.
Oh, Bob Sullivan. Bob.
Fix.
Woo, look at you. All right, so you can't be part of this next one. We got, all right, here we go again.
Oh, were you able to remove him from there, Kayla? Oh,
Yeah.
I saw what you did.
Yeah.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, that's good to know. I'm gonna try.
George, Courtney in the house. All right, last one. I'm rooting for you, Kim. Sorry, everybody. Oh, Heather. Awesome.
Congrats.
All right, so those are our
I
winners,
never
our lucky
win
winners.
anything. I
You
can't
never win
believe
me either. Oh, we have somebody in the chat. Okay. So thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
I'm sorry. Can I just say a
Oh,
couple things about the
sure.
chair that we're
Sorry,
giving
Robin.
away?
Take it away.
So it's the black chair that Lisa had shown a couple times, and it kind of looks like just a regular, you could buy it anywhere chair. What it is custom, actually. It's got a memory foam seat, which is really comfortable. I mean, it has all the attributes that Lisa talked about. The mesh that's in the back is actually from Thailand, and every single component from the casters to the arm caps are custom. So even though it looks like a very basic, no big deal chair, it's actually amazing. We sell 95% of the chairs that we sell are that chair. Now I come from Steelcase, where I was a total chair snob. And Lisa knows, because she's been with Herman Miller, and it's like technology and science and everything. But at the end of the day, there's like 40 things you can do to the chair. And you know what? Once you get your chair set up, you don't touch it again. You do it once, and then it's like, okay, I'm good. And this chair just has a couple of mechanisms, the key ones that Lisa spoke about, and then it's great. And the cool thing is, we sell it all day long for like $275. And when it's in a really big project, there's room to move on that. So, selling $800 gesture chairs from Steelcase, those times, there are some companies that can afford to do that, and they want to gift their employees with a great chair, which is awesome. I'm totally in favor of that. But there's a larger majority of people that when you're programming something, a new project and everything, you have to look for ways to save money. So anyway, the two of you that won the chair, I hope that you love it. If you have any problems, I don't think you will, you call me and use it. But Lisa, you did a fabulous job.
Well, thanks.
And again, thank you for letting me participate.
I
Back to
appreciate
you.
that. And Robin, make sure you include the instructions for it as well. That'll be really helpful, so that they have
Yeah.
instructions on how to use
Yeah.
the chair.
No
And
problem.
thank you both. And now I feel even worse about not winning. But I'm happy for Bob and George and Heather. So I'll
Awesome.
connect you guys. And again, thank you all for being here today. I hope you have a great rest of your snow day. If you got snow, be careful out there, and go to ifmaphilly.org and sign up for the next event.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
everybody.
Great, thank
Have a
you.
good
Bye.
day.
Bye.